MeloCat's expert chat. Upgrade your cat's lifestyle.
Hey everyone, thank you for being here for another episode. Today we have Molly Kelsey. Thanks so much for being with us today. Love your headphones.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. So it seems like we found the right person because there's a lot of questions that we have for you. And hopefully some of these things can help everyone in the audience make better informed decisions. Molly, feline behavior specialist, that's based in New Zealand, in Auckland. So anyone in the audience that's from New Zealand, woohoo! We have a lot of Australian audiences, by the way. So she's worked with cats for over 10 years, originally as a vet nurse and a foster. And now focusing on behavior, she works with owners and their cats all over the world to resolve problems that these cats might have, like problematic behaviors. And her objective is to improve the human-cat relationship. That's what this conversation is for. Next time you decide what is good for your kitty, next time you decide to buy anything, decide to hire anybody, that's what this is for.
I think one of the biggest misconceptions that happens is people think I am hands-on, surrounded by cats every single day. The majority of my working day is spent researching, reading, writing reports, and educating owners. Sometimes I don't even see the cats that I work with for months at a time, ones that are scared of people or are in a different country. So majority of my day is spent doing a lot of the academic kind of side of things and keeping clients in the loop of where I want them to be and checking in with them. And yeah, just creating some content as well for some people overseas. And I do some work with the SPCA, which is our national animal shelter. So do a bit of work with them and yeah, just keep myself busy and out of trouble with cat related things. Most common complaints or concerns that come to me would be aggression, whether that's towards other cats, the owners, strangers in the home, general multi-cat tension. A lot of homes now, if they have one cat, they get another cat because once you get one, you're like, I need more. So like tattoos or books, you can't stop. And so sometimes this kind of addition works well, sometimes it doesn't. Another one is house soiling, so not using the litter box. That's another really common one. And furniture destruction, so scratching furniture, things like that.
For these common ones, say these three, what is the most common solution? Of course, I'm not saying that is the solution, but what's the most common solution? I know just like before we started this call, the most common solution is just to reboot and see if things work. And yay, it solves a lot of problems. Is there such logic, in the cat world too, for those problems that you just said?
Definitely. So with cats who are having issues with other cats being in their immediate environment, we look at how can we make this environment more multi-cat friendly.
Right.
So if that's adding more resources or adding more of a number of a resource that's already there, say there's one litter box for 2 cats, I always tell people to add another 2 at least and spread them out around the house. For cats who are living in quite a small space with other cats, I say to add vertical space to reduce conflict on the ground. And then things like aggression with people, basically just getting people to understand basic cat body language and the concept of autonomy and consent, asking cats, would you like to interact with me right now? Instead of just assuming that because they're there for us to touch and play with whenever we want, and they're the ones with the claws and the sharp teeth. So I think it's just common sense to be like, is this all good if we do this right now, or would you rather we do this later or in a way that you're more comfortable with?
That's very interesting. And now that you mentioned it, it's so true. Like when we make contact with people, we don't just go over there and grab them if you don't know them that well, or if they're just in the middle of something, you don't just squeeze them. Why do we always do it to cats, thinking that is okay? Wow, point taken. I think I have to do some reflection too. Although my cats are usually pretty mild, I think I'll do the verbal thing more often. It's like, hey, mommy's gonna pet you now. Yeah. Oh, by the way, I have one right here. Right here. She's my.
Oh, hello.
Yep, she's my ambassador at home.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Look
I
at those
know.
eyes.
Yeah, she's wonderful. So another thing is, what are some signs that a cat may be experiencing like a behavioral problem? And how can the cat parent tell that this is a behavioral problem and not just normal cat stuff? Because, for example, when I was a child, or even for my nieces and nephew, we didn't see clawing furniture or even the curtains as something that's normal that cats do, because that's what they do in the wild. They claw a tree. If you don't have a tree, you don't have a scratching post, they'll do it on that. What other stuff are like that? Normal for them, but not so normal to us, or vice versa.
Yeah. What I try and explain to people like owners who come to me, I say is the behavior itself is often not the problem. It's the context or the reason why it's happening. So if we have, like you said,
Mm,
scratching is a natural behavior that cats need to do to keep their bodies limber. It helps with blood circulation. It helps stretch out the musculoskeletal system. It
mm.
feels good, leaves messages, and helps keep those claws nice and trim.
Oh yeah.
So the behavior itself is not the problem. It's when it gets applied to, say, a cat who hasn't got any scratch surfaces in the house that they like. So
Mm,
say the owner's gone and bought a cat tower, but it's really wobbly, or it came from a house that had a cat and it stinks of another cat. So this cat's like, why would I want to scratch this? This doesn't appeal to me. I've got
yeah.
this amazing couch that I can put all my weight against and pull, and it doesn't move and it smells familiar. So why would I go to the other one?
Yeah.
So when you look at behaviors, say for aggression or inappropriate play, we go, okay, playing rough is not a problem if a cat's trying to survive in the wild and they've learned these skills to keep themselves safe. But when
Mm,
it's to someone's toddler who's crawling across the ground, then we go, okay, how can we meet this cat's needs for this exuberance, this amount of play, this amount of exercise that doesn't involve someone's arm or a child? So we look at ways that we can keep the cat happy, but also have this behavior performed in an appropriate context.
Yeah, I think what a lot of people don't realize is that they're just looking at the micro problem without looking at the broader picture, like what you just said. And a lot of times they just want to patch over that one thing without really looking into why they're doing it, or even if it's like a normal thing. And as you just said, just like scratching, yeah, that's that's pretty much part of their lives. That kind of relates to my next question is how successful in your experience are these behavioral interventions and how long does it take for people to start seeing some results? Because we're getting more impatient by the day. It would be nice to know so we can know what to expect.
Yeah, I've had people who have had one session with me and overnight, things have
Mm,
changed overnight
mm.
and they haven't needed to see me again or talk to
Oh,
me again, which
okay.
is great. Then I've had some that I've been working with for over 5 months now. So it's really variable because no cat is the same, no
Totally.
home is the same, and no owner or family is the same. We all have different commitments, financial ability, time, all those things. It's so variable that I say to people, you get what you put in, but also to allow yourself some grace because they don't speak our language. We don't speak their language. We can
Mhm.
just guess and try and interpret them. So, progress, sometimes it takes a bit of tweaking. The plan we have lined up first, things might change. The cat
Right.
might develop something else, or it might no longer want to do this activity that was working for 3 months. And then it's actually, no, this isn't serving us anymore.
Yeah.
So I've probably only had a couple of clients where I've had to either refer them to someone else or I've
Mm.
gone, I'm sorry, but this is beyond basic behavior modification or changing things in the environment. Like this is something that is, for want of a better word, above my pay grade or
Mm.
above what your cat could realistically, in my opinion,
Mm.
do or change because some cats they have been through a lot or they just haven't been adequately prepared for say domestic cat life or not suitable for the family that they're with and it's no one's fault, it's not
Yes.
a good fit or it's hard because unlike static objects that you could fix, they are living beings and there's so much unknown, there's so much gray. We can try and clean things up as much as we can, but at the end of the day, we're, I don't know, trying to see in the dark a bit sometimes with these
Yeah.
guys because we just don't know enough.
Which leads to another thing. Can you actually explain a little bit more about feral cats that are not meant to be inside? They can't be domesticated. They're not meant to be domesticated. This
Yeah.
applies to exotic breeds or just feral cats in general. I think there's some misunderstandings when it comes to that. It doesn't really matter which country. I think some people think that all cats can be brought inside. And then some people label them incorrectly sometimes, and that leads to a lot of stress. Can you get into that a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, like you said, with different countries, there's different approaches and ways they classify the cats.
Yeah.
Basically, the easiest way I can explain it is you have owned cats, so cats who have an owner, cats who come inside the home, they're part of the family, etc., etc.
Mm.
Even some cats who live in, say, the stables or the barn would be considered that because they are housed in a different part of the property, but they still have all that one-to-one human interaction and they spend time with other people and all those sorts of things. Then you have cats who are reliant on human society to survive. So stray cats who live on the street and are fed by volunteers or live near a rubbish dump and scavenge for food there, things like that. Those cats are at the mercy of the element. The amount of ongoing welfare issues is awful because they just don't get the veterinary care they need a lot of the time. A lot of these cats of that group, the kittens who are brought in and socialized, a lot of those guys do well if they are young enough. If we look at socialization with kittens, I usually say to people, if you can get the kittens in a what I call like a home environment before 5 weeks, you've got a pretty good chance, providing you give them everything they need and they have other cats to learn from, they're going to be more likely to be able to assimilate to domestic cat life. Versus, say, if you got an adult cat that was living as a stray, they might be comfortable going near people in order to access resources like food or water. And they've probably had an experience where they've been trapped for desexing and then released. But they probably wouldn't go as far to crawling up on your lap and making themselves at home. There's always exceptions. I've met some of these exceptions.
Yeah.
But the general thing with those cats is humans are potentially risky, but we get stuff from them.
Yeah.
And then we have feral cats who have little to no interaction with people. I think those are the ones that people kind of assume that every cat who doesn't have a collar or who isn't owned or spoken for, they're like, oh, they're all feral. And it's like, no, a lot of these cats that live in, say, cities have grown up around people. It's quite different to a cat who has grown up in the bush and has never had any human interaction until maybe they're 7 years old, if they make it to 7. Those cats are the ones I think who they get demonized quite a lot for just trying to survive, but they're the ones I think that if they do get trapped, those guys having a happy life in any sort of domestic setting is very unlikely.
That's what a lot of people don't realize. That like sometimes, like even I hear that here sometimes people are like, oh, you have to rescue them. I'm like, no, some cats really literally just live outside. That is their home. They don't do so well in here, and you won't do so well trying to make it work because it just wouldn't. And I think that kind of relates to, you know, how sometimes when people would catch a feral mom and then the kids get adopted, but then the mom just gets fixed and then gets introduced back outside. So I think that's the exact same logic.
Yeah, I mean, I have worked with, say, a very young mum. She would have been about 5 months when she got pregnant.
Oh, wow.
So quite young. And she was trapped along with her kittens. She only had 2 because obviously she was very young. So she was a kitten herself, and she was able to be socialized because she was with her kittens and she stayed at a vet clinic and she was fostered out. And I actually know the owners of the cat now, and she's lovely, but she's still a bit quirky. That's what her owners say. She's quirky, but she is probably in the minority of older cats. If they're under a year, you might be able to with the feral cats. Again, it's not a set
Hit or
rule, but
yeah.
it's a lot of the time, I think is it fair on this cat to put them through this for us to go, oh, I rescued this cat? Because ethically, they might be better off just being managed as a colony cat. If they're fixed and they're looked after to whatever degree. Are they going to be happier that way with some shelter provided, or are they going to be happier being inside a house that they've never been inside with a bunch of people they can't get out from, with all these things they've never been around, like a TV and all these things?
Completely. That's something that I wish like the old me as a kid would understand too. That's they're not humans. They don't have to live in houses. Some of them really just belong outside and just call it a day. But of course, we have to be able to tell which is which. That's another thing. Now, another thing is talk about behavioral issues. Is there some tips that you can give our cat parents or prospective cat parents or future cat parents that can do to prevent behavioral problems in the first place? Because we know prevention is better than cure. Is there such thing when it comes to behavioral issues?
So a lot of behavioral issues come up due to kittens not being prepped enough for domestic cat life. We often get kittens and we bring them home and we go, okay, cool, you're here, done. Puppies, on the other hand, we take to puppy school. We do obedience training. We do all these things to prepare them to be successful as a pet. Whereas kittens, we could just go, here's your house, go. And then we expect them to do all these things and be happy with all these tasks that we expect them to be amicable to happen. Things like brushing, going into a carrier willingly, being handled by the vet, having their paws touched. All these things that they're going to have as they go through life. We often skip over when it's kittens because we go, oh, okay, they'll just sort themselves out. And then this cat gets to a year old and we're like, oh, we have to take you to the vet. And this poor cat's like, why would I go in that little box? Like, why would I do that? It's terrifying. And then we go, oh God, it's so annoying. And it's, you didn't give this kitten a chance. You didn't give them the skills they need to succeed in the first place. So a lot of the issues I deal with people often just come from basic lack of socializing. So I work with a lot of cats who are difficult to medicate, play inappropriately. I get a lot of cats who are quite rough playing. And often that can come from people playing with their hands and feet with their cats while they're really little. And it's cute when they're little. But when they get bigger and they still think your foot or your hand is fair game to play, it suddenly becomes a trip to the ER for antibiotics. Yeah, and this has happened to me, not playing with my hands, but I've had a cat like just gone to get a treat from my hand and I shouldn't have done it. And they bit through where my nail bed was. And I ended up at the A&E with an infected finger. And I was like, how many times have I told my clients to toss treats or to place them off the ground? And then there was me. And I was like, oh my God, not even following my own advice. I just became complacent. So just things like that, prepping your cats for success when they're young is really important. And then just making sure that you look at their environment that you are placing them in. They're not choosing to be in your home. Looking at the environment and going, if I was a cat with a cat's needs, would I be happy here? Would I be able to do all the things I do outside? Would I be able to scratch something suitable? Would I be able to climb? Can I go to the toilet in privacy? Can I eat without others being around me? Do I have to compete to get the water? Like, there's all these things that we go, oh, there's a water bowl, that's enough. But the water bowl is by the washing machine and that's loud. And the cat's like, why would I want to have a drink by this vibrating, angry, loud machine? That doesn't happen outside. There's a stream, but that's it. So I think we often place kind of cat care items around our house to suit us. And then we wonder why the cats don't use them, or they'll use something nearby. And we're like, but we spent $200 on this cat tree and they're not using it. But it's right by a window that the other cats outside are sitting on the fence and staring in. All these kind of things, we often set stuff up to suit us. And then the cats just start acting out and doing stuff we don't want. But we haven't really set up their environment for them. I think that's where a lot of issues come from. And just a lot of people have very unreasonable expectations of cats. I have been guilty of that in the past, definitely. Just expecting a lot from my cats, expecting them to be comfortable with things that if I were in their shoes, I wouldn't be comfortable with.
Yeah.
Like a new baby arriving and they haven't even had a chance to get used to what a baby sounds like, or the equipment that comes with a baby, all these things. And then this baby turns up and the cat's expected to just deal with. And then the owners wonder why the cat started spraying. It's because they're stressed and they're like, oh my goodness, what is this? I was given no prep, no warning, nothing. Nothing was done to help me get ready for this. Yeah. So roundabout way of saying, prep, help your cat succeed.
That is so true. I should just sidetrack a little bit. In Hong Kong, we have something that's called like a shop cat culture, meaning that these cats live in shops and they don't have a home. They live in the shop. So they greet customers. They go in and out, shall they please? And they'll ask customers to help them open the door if they want to get out of the shop. They'll come back. And these shop cats, people always wonder is, oh, how come they know how to cross roads? How come they are not afraid of the sound of motorcycles or trucks or people? I'm like, it's exposure. You've prepped them since the day they were born. They've been living in your shop. Of course, these are not stressors to them. It sounds so incredible as a house cat, but for them, that is their house. Going back to what you were saying, it's that prep, isn't it? It's exposure. Now, another thing I want to know is just relating to what you just said. You said prepping and just getting used to things. That's in the preventative side of things. I know one common thing you mentioned at the very beginning are cat aggression towards each other. Now, what if it happened at home already? Say a fight broke out, real fight. How can you prevent further conflict or further resentment once that's happened?
Yeah. So prevention, we'd look at why has this happened in the first place. So is one of the cats unwell and in pain, and one of the other cats come up to them and wanted to play and they've gone ouch, and then aggression has occurred as a response. So I'd want to rule out a medical issue first to make sure that it's nothing that, no matter what we do behavioral modification wise, if one of the cats is still unwell, then all this will be for nothing. So I always tell people with aggression cases, make sure both cats are not in pain, make sure they're both well. Next step is to look at, is it going to be less stressful for the cats to be separated and do a reintroduction? where we had them one in a base camp, like a room set up for them, and then the other cat in another room. And
Hmm.
then we look at slowly exposing them to one another, but visually is the last thing we do. Visual exposure is the last. And we look at building up positive associations with the other cat. And
Okay.
we're just trying to rebuild that kind of relationship that either broke down or build a relationship that wasn't good to start with. And also just looking at ways that we can manage the cats when they're in the same area together by using things like clicker training to teach interrupt cues or recall cues or target cues, anything that we can go without touching the cats. We can
Mm.
go, could you do this? And they go, yes, I choose to do that. And then stop the situation from starting in the first place.
Um,
It's quite a complex issue. So I don't want to like give any cookie cutter advice,
of
but
course.
basically main thing is rule out a medical issue first. Look at whether doing a reintroduction, and you'd need to do that with a professional. I wouldn't tell people to just do it
Do
off
it.
Google because a lot of the instructions might suit one combination of cats, but might be disastrous for another. And then I'd look at, are the resources in my home optimized for more than one cat? Are there food bowls together? Can one of the cats sit in front of the litter boxes so the other cat can't go to the toilet? That would make anyone annoyed. I wouldn't blame them for getting aggressive if someone like blocked me from being able to use my own bathroom.
Mhm.
So sometimes it's as simple as adding more litter boxes to the home or making sure they've both got their own cat tower so they can both climb without the other cat telling them to get off, something like that. And then just looking at also, are these cats a good fit together? I know a lot of people go, okay, I want to keep my cats together, whatever the cost. But again, we
Right.
come back to that thing of they didn't choose to live together.
That's true.
So you can do everything right, like by the book. I've had people do everything I've advised them to do, and they've
Mm.
done everything right. And at the end of the day, their 10-year-old cat just doesn't want to play ball with this new 2-month-old kitten. They just don't want to. That's something that people have to have a serious think about is that not every cat is going to get on with every other cat. It's like
Just
people,
like
you know?
us, we don't
Yeah, like
get along with everyone.
yeah. Can you imagine being dropped in like a house with a random person and then people are like, be friends? And you're like, excuse me?
Abuse. We'll be like, that's abuse.
I'm leaving. This is terrifying. Yeah.
Totally. No, that actually reminds me of another question that I wanted to ask you is what are some of these common misconceptions about cat training? I'm sure you hear that word all the time. Can
Yeah.
cats be trained? If so, is there any effective ways to do it? Or when it comes to cat parenting, is it more about training the cat parent? Because I know it's a very different game that we're playing compared to dog parents. What do you think?
I think it's slowly improving. I think 5 years ago, if you said to people, oh, let's teach your cat some tricks, I think a
Mm.
lot of people would just look at you like you're crazy. I still do get people that do that to me, but that's fine. But I think people recognize that cats are very intelligent, but I think some people fail to connect that to trainability. I don't know how. People go,
Mm.
oh, cats are so smart. And then they look at dogs and they're like, oh, they're like, oh, they're man's best friend, but they're like a few chips short of a Happy Meal. And then they're like, oh, but dogs are so easy to train. And I'm like, but how can you say this and this? It doesn't make sense to me. I think part of it is people have gone, oh, I haven't tried. I haven't tried to train my cat. Honestly, 99% of the people I talk to who go, oh, training cats, I'm like, have you tried? And they're like, no. It's never occurred to me
Gave
to
up.
try. I haven't needed to. I tried to once, or I told
Mm.
my cat off and he ignored me, and I'm like, that's not the same thing. The good thing we have with cats is they pick up on stuff quite fast, and a majority of them have a high food drive. So we use that to our advantage. And they just love to keep their brain active. Even older cats, I find they really enjoy it. And it's a way to bond with them without having to have your hands all over them. And so it's
Yeah.
really good. For a lot of cats, it means interaction on their own terms. And because we're asking them to do things, we're not making them do things, it generally makes things go a lot smoother and a lot less stressful.
The pull is better than the push, I find
Yep.
with cats. And yes, you can teach an old cat new tricks. It is
Yes.
possible, definitely. But you are right. A lot of times, I think a lot of the parents just lose patience easily or just give up even before they start
Yeah.
because of what they heard. But that's hearsay, isn't it? You know, you can even clicker train cats. I was
Yeah.
trying that recently and it works really good. I was trying to train my cats to go to a certain place in case there's a fire so I can all put them into a carrier.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it works actually pretty well. My success so far is 7 out of 10 cats are okay with it. 3 are more stubborn, but yeah, still okay.
Yeah.
Now, another thing is, I want to know, I know not everybody is into adopting, and some people want to get breeded cats. What is your general rule of thumb when it comes to people who's looking for pedigree cats? What's some of the basic questions that they should ask themselves before getting a pedigree cat? Because I know, especially here, people are just judging based on looks. But there's
Looks.
actually a lot more than that because I've rescued a few that are pedigree. And one is, I don't know if you see him around here, but if you see a Cornish Rex, the really skinny, the curly fur one, it turned out their personality is very different and it may or may not be suitable for some people. So, is there some
Mhm.
sage advice you can give to prospective cat people who want to get pedigree cats?
Yeah, because there hasn't been enough studies done to show that this breed definitely has this personality type or
Mm,
temperament. There are like stereotypes for different breeds. Like people say, oh, ragdolls are really placid and really good with kids, or
mm.
Maine Coons are naturally really adventurous, or Bengals are very trainable. I haven't met one that isn't, but yeah. So I always say to people, like, you can look at a breed and you like its looks, and you can like what people say that they are likely to behave like, or they're likely to be like personality wise, but that's
Right.
no guarantee.
Oh, of course.
So I always say to people, you can like the look of a cat, but are you going to this cat if it doesn't turn out as the cookie cutter breed standard? If you get this ragdoll, and I work with a lot of ragdolls, like the reason I talk about them is because I think people go, oh, all ragdolls will put up with my kids picking them up and they're so placid and they don't do anything bad or nothing. And I probably get at least one ragdoll inquiry a week
Mm,
just to put them. And I don't know if that's because people get them with the expectation that's very high for this cat,
mm,
or it's something else is going on that we just don't know yet. But I always tell people, you can like the look of it, you can like what the personality might be, no
mm,
guarantee, and
mm.
always check that you're going to be able to financially provide for this cat. If it is a purebred or some breed of cat that has a predisposition to certain issues,
Mm.
can you afford for all those issues to crop up in this cat? Can you afford to treat for it? Cats that are brachycephalic, Persians, can you afford if they need help with a surgery to help them breathe better? Can you afford that? Can you afford for cats that have got the folded ears? Can you afford for the fact that they're probably going to have issues with their joints and their bones as a problem with their genes? Like Scottish folds, they're banned in some countries. That's how
Mm.
bad it is. Cats that don't have hair, are you prepared to deal with cats that might have skin conditions? Because skin conditions are expensive to manage in animals.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
all those things. It's the look comes with I guess, a cost. And also, I don't know what it's like where you are, but in New Zealand, there's a registry for breeders, but there's no auditing. There's no on-site auditing. So my neighbor could be run a pedigree cattery next door, and all
Like
the
the
cats
kitty
could be in a
mills.
yeah. So they could look really good online and on paper, but they might take the kitten to a different house for the new owners to come pick up the kitten and be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, the mum's resting. You can't see the mum today." So I always say to people, make sure that you've spoke to people who have dealt with the breeders before, that they're if they can be, that their genetics have been tested for common conditions it can be tested for. Make sure that you can meet both the parents and make
Yeah.
sure you can see where the kittens are housed. And you
Yeah.
want to check that the age of the kittens is, if they're going too young, then you're creating problems just from the beginning, and making sure that they've been kept up with parasite control and nutrition,
Oh,
and they're
definitely.
used to being in a home environment. If they've been in a cage in a garage for their whole life, and then it's no wonder this kitten's terrified because they've never seen any of this before, or they've never seen a artificial light,
Yeah.
like things like that. So there's a lot that goes into making sure the kitten you're getting has been raised, I guess, ethically, raised,
Ethically.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, as much as it is possible to do that while breeding for profit. Yeah.
That's very interesting topic that we just had because a lot of people talk about it in my community. Like, just recap a little bit. A lot of people kind of look for pedigree cats based on the looks and thinking that that breed come with not just, but what
Yeah.
a lot of people ignored is the fact that they have certain, I would say, genetic, I don't know, predispositions that come with it that
Yeah.
they're not aware of, which usually translate to either lifestyle choices or medical bills. Is that always,
Yeah.
is that kind of like a general rule of thumb? Let me know if that's not right. Is when we have purebred animals, it's almost, they're almost doomed to have some sort of genetic problems. Is that kind of like the rule of thumb?
Yeah,
when it
the
comes to
way I
training?
explain it to people is cats evolved the way they did for a reason in the wild.
Mm,
And we've been creating these breeds purely for looks for hundreds of years. So something has to give
that
genetically
is
anyway. You can't have a cat that is super fluffy and has ears that fold over or is stunted growth like a munchkin and is lower to the ground without some sort of payout. Like, what do they lose confirmation wise, physiologically? What do they lose out on for
mm,
this to happen? And we see it quite often in domestic animals. Dogs and cats, I think we see it the most, but then you even have animals like horses and rabbits and stuff that have welfare issues because we want them to look a certain way.
oh yeah, definitely. That's a price tag that people are paying, so to say.
Ooh,
This guy
spicy.
is very dramatic. So he's Burrito from Malaysia. I found him when I was traveling to Malaysia.
Yeah.
See his nubby tail?
Yeah.
Got chewed off by a dog.
Oh, poor darling. Did he
Like,
have any nerve damage? Is he got
um,
any nerve damage at the end?
that's actually a question that I wanted to ask as part of this
Hmm.
interview that wasn't on that list. Sorry, just hold on. So what
Yeah.
happened was for him, do from your experience, Eddie, do you think cats have phantom pain? Because for him, he had that tail chewed off, and that was the only part that we can actually keep after he recovered. But every
Yeah.
now and then, he would like turn around really quickly and just nip his own tail, and then he'll go back to his normal activities. But he's still doing that at 4.5 years old. Have you seen such things?
I
Phantom
have seen it, and because there's no way to test for it, sometimes I do wonder how much of it is a habit and how much of it is, as you said, a phantom pain. We see this in cats who have been declawed. They'll go through the motions of scratching
Do they
or
do that in Auckland?
it's illegal in New Zealand.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So I've only come across myself 2 cats who were declawed on the front paw, but I know overseas it's prolific.
Yeah, let's
So
talk a little bit about that because I think
yeah.
a lot of our community is from North America. And
Mm.
as far as I'm concerned, I think it's not banned in a lot of the states. It's only a handful of states, or I think two that ban declawing. In Hong Kong, it's not common. You don't hear people declawing cats here. So that's where I am. But yeah, can you maybe share a little bit about that? I always tell people declawing is amputation. It's not cutting
It is.
somebody's claws. If they just stop it from growing because that first joint of the finger is
Mhm.
gone. Can you tell me some of the experiences you've had or some of the knowledge that you have about cats that got declawed? I know their personality is not the same. Their litter box habits can change.
Yeah, I haven't heard of or come across a cat who's been declawed who doesn't have serious behavioral issues as a result.
Like what?
So we're talking severe aggression, whether that's from related nerve damage, like nerve pain from the procedure.
Wow.
There's some people that actually say that they can develop, I guess, a cat version of post-traumatic stress because the procedure is so traumatic on the body.
Mm.
Again, we don't know because we can't sit them down on a chair with a notebook and go, so do you meet this criteria for PTSD? We can't do that. But to me, I'm like, okay, if they do have the capacity to have that, then that procedure, I wouldn't be surprised. And like you said, like the litter box issues, because you are effectively removing the first knuckle on a human hand, their ability to interact with and move around their world is compromised severely. So they can't defend themselves as well. They can't knead properly to get themselves comfy. They can't scent mark as well. They can't climb. All these things that a normal cat should be able to do. And then when they can't, that can result in a lot of frustration, can result in depression, can result in boredom. And that can manifest in really problematic behaviors because the cat has no way to grow that bone back. There's no going back for this poor cat.
Yeah, that's one thing that I learned at a really young age. Long story short, the one time I took my first cat to the vets, a lady was bringing her cat to get declawed, and that was in Canada. And the vet took out a cigar cutter from his drawer, and he said, I think he was trying to educate her because he sensed that the woman doesn't know what declawing was. He said, it is the equivalent of me giving you some anesthesia and just giving you 10 quick chops with a cigar cutter and call it a day. And the lady just broke down in tears. I think she had no idea what she was about to do. So I learned it that way. And I was like, oh my gosh. Wow. I should start telling people that it's like cigar cutter, 10 quick cuts. But yeah,
Yeah.
thank God we don't do it here. You don't hear about that. Although sometimes you do hear that dogs have their vocal cords severed, removed, because they don't want them to bark. Because people live in
Yeah.
apartments, they don't want people to complain. I think I've heard of that before, but it's still not that common, thank God. Yeah. Whew. Things
Yeah,
that,
debarking.
oh,
It's
it's a
pretty
thing.
sick. Yep,
Oh,
it's a thing. Yeah, it's pretty gross.
oh my God.
Taking away someone's ability to talk.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I try to tell some of my friends, I was like the horrible things that you hear people talk about that they sell on like the dark web, that these human pets that people sell. I'm like, that's what you're trying to do when you debark them, when you declaw them. Please don't do it. As pleasant as you might think it is to get rid of some of these things that you don't want, you're literally amputating somebody. So can't stress that enough. Now, so the last question I have for you is kind of like a broad question, like a
Mm,
big question at the same
yeah.
time. If there is a new first time cat parent that is about to get cats, what are some sage advice and some things that you have for this person to do as homework before they even think about buying, adopting, rescuing any cats or any animals in general? What are some things that you want them to think about?
First thing I say to people when looking at getting any sort of animal as a companion animal
Mm,
is foster first. Foster that species first so you can get an idea of what living with them is actually like. For example, I've fostered hundreds of kittens and cats. And some of them, I think if I'd had that as an adult, that kitten as my first foster or first cat, I would have struggled. So I
mm,
often say to people, foster is a really good way to see, are you emotionally, financially, and physically equipped to look after this animal. Especially like kittens have a lot of energy and they get into things and they have to check everything out. So it's a really good way of seeing just how cat proof your home is, just to have a kitten and then you have to watch them like a hawk and be like, oh gosh, we need to move that or we need to bolt that to the wall, all those things. It's just to see, are they going to fit in with your life? Because, they're going to be with you. I mean, these days, at least 15 years.
yeah.
Hopefully, there's always exceptions. But now that we have a better understanding of what they need nutritionally and health wise, they are living for longer. So that's a factor. And then also just looking at what changes can you make to your home or that you'll need to make to your home to make it an optimum environment for a cat to prevent issues happening at all.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to add anything else to your home, you don't want to put any vertical space up, you don't want to have a litter box at all, then I'd say probably a cat isn't for you because
Mm,
cats need a safe place to go to the bathroom and they
yeah.
need to be able to climb. So if they can't do that in your house,
Mm,
I'd get a different animal. If you're set on getting a pet, get a different
mhm.
animal. Get one that doesn't need to climb up the wall. Cats are great, but they're not for everyone. And that's okay. That's
Yeah.
fine. It's just one of those things.
That's true. I actually never really thought about that because especially like now post pandemic, a lot of people are getting rid of their pets. I don't know if that's
Yeah.
happening where you are. Yeah. So I guess people can use some fosters because these shelters are getting overwhelmed. And instead of having them either get put down or just getting turned down,
Mhm.
then I think foster would be a good way. It just benefits both parties. It buys them more time and it also gives you that experience as well. And at the same time, you're doing something good. Yeah. So I
Yeah,
think I should
definitely.
start promoting that as well. Huh. Thank
Yeah,
you.
foster. And if you can, I always say to people, unless you're going to get two kittens, I would adopt an adult purely
Mm.
because just from my point aside, adult cats struggle to find homes a lot more
Oh,
than
of
kittens do.
course.
And I find with people that get solo kittens, they're more likely to develop behavioral issues than a kitten who's with a sibling that's bonded with because they
Yep.
can bounce off one another and keep each other busy and, all those things that makes managing having a young cat a lot easier.
I say that to
And
people all the time. They're like, "No, that's not true. I can't even do 1 kitten." I'm like, "Trust me, 2's easier."
it's actually easier.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's a lot easier. I'm like, they don't rely on you to be a source of the only source of entertainment. They can pounce at each other instead of your face at 4 AM. So you pick,
And they learn from one another. They learn what's an appropriate amount of pressure to apply when nibbling on someone during play. Can't emulate that. We can't. I'm sure some people have tried, but you can't be a cat to a cat. You
Yeah.
you just can't.
Oh, so well said. You can't be
Yeah.
a cat to a cat. That is true. And if you discipline them, then that's abuse. If they
Mm.
discipline each other, that's just cats doing cat things. They're
Yeah.
just reacting. So that's why for one of my cats, she was very rambunctious. I think you probably not her, but another one that looks like her. She was like a street cat. She has been a street cat before, and she used to play really hard. And she used to discipline her, and it only took a few goes, and then it just put her right in her spot. There's nothing I can do to stop her. But yeah, it's so weird. That's how nature works, isn't it? Just let
Yeah.
nature do its thing. So thank you so much, Molly. I can interrogate you with thousands of these questions. So just time and again, but promise me we'll do another episode in the future because I'm sure
Yeah, it'd be
there's a lot of
fun.
follow-up questions that our community wants to ask. And you're
Mhm.
definitely a great source of information, just for existing cat parents, prospective ones, or people who have existing problems because that's what you deal with. So I just want to say thank you one more time. And yeah, I'll see you again in no time. Promise?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, pinky promise.
Pinky
And
promise.
yeah, been so much fun. And yeah, I'm looking forward to sharing your content with some of my clients because indoor cats are becoming slowly more popular here in New Zealand, which I'm really happy about. Yeah, so and the future's looking good. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll see you in no time then.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.